The average British family spends between £280,000 and £450,000 on a new build home. 3 months after moving in, the ceiling cracks, the front door warps, and the boiler drops pressure because nobody commissioned it properly. An independent inspector finds 186 defects. 9 of them are critical. Missing loft insulation, cavity closures were never installed. They call the developer, they wait, and 6 weeks later there is still no response. That family is not unlucky. That family is the business model, and today we are blowing the roof off it. Before we dive in, drop a comment where you are watching from, and hit subscribe. Buying a new build in Britain is not the same calculation as buying one in Germany or Scandinavia. Britain has 5 specific conditions that make the problem uniquely punishing here. The climate. Britain's wet, cycling, salt-driven weather attacks timber frame homes constantly. Thermal bridging, which is heat escaping through structural weak points in the walls, is a compliance number on paper. In a British winter, it is £1,200 a year in heat you paid for and watched disappear through the corners of your windows. The pricing premium. New builds carry an average premium of 15 to 20% above comparable resale homes. You're paying more per square foot for a home that is less proven, with a warranty that does not cover what you think it covers. We will get to that. The service network. Outside major cities, independent snagging inspectors, surveyors, and NHBC resolution services are SIAS. If you buy on a rural development in Lincolnshire or Ceredigion, the developer's aftercare team is 4 counties away, and the NHBC resolution service is a 12-week wait. Consumer protection. The Consumer Rights Act sounds powerful. In practice, pursuing a developer for £15,000 worth of defects costs £8,000 in solicitor fees and 2 years of your life. The developer's legal team is budgeted for this. Yours is not. And Brexit. Since leaving the EU, specialist window profiles, cavity barrier systems, and fixing components have become slower and more expensive to import. A defect found in the 3rd month of your 2-year warranty may not be physically repaired until the 22nd month, just before the developer closes your case. Britain gets hit from all 5 directions simultaneously. That is not misfortune. That is the environment these homes are being built into, and the volume builders have priced their margins accordingly. A lot of new build coverage online relies on developer-friendly data, such as satisfaction surveys taken 8 weeks after completion, before buyers have noticed the door frames are out of plumb. This is built on 4 things. First, National Housebuilding Council claims data. The National Housebuilding Council paid out £119 million to fix defective new homes in a single year. This is not a footnote. This is the scale of the failure, in pounds, from the body that is supposed to guarantee quality. Second, the Competition and Markets Authority's final report from 2024 on UK housebuilding found serious defects, including collapsing staircases and ceilings. It also found evidence that the largest builders may have shared commercially sensitive information that influenced both build-out rates and home prices. The investigation, covering Persimmon, Barratt, Taylor Wimpey, Bellway, Berkeley, Bloor and Redrow, settled in July 2025. They agreed to pay £100 million towards affordable housing. No admission of wrongdoing. Third, independent snagging data comes from 640 inspections across Essex, London, Hertfordshire and Kent, conducted between January 2024 and October 2025. 1 in 10 homes had serious compliance breaches, not cosmetic issues. The breaches related to thermal performance and to moisture control. Fourth, the Channel 4 Dispatches investigation commissioned a professional snagger to inspect a brand new Persimmon home. He found 295 faults in 5 hours. 70% fell outside building regulation tolerances, including a fire door with an 11mm gap at the bottom. That is not a snag. That is a fire safety failure in a home someone's children were sleeping in. No developer paid for placement here. A couple of them would prefer I did not exist. That is how you know we are doing it right. In the 1960s and 1970s, a British house was a building commitment. Brickwork laid by tradesmen who had served apprenticeships. Cavity walls with full-fill mineral wool insulation built to outlast the mortgage. Internal walls of dense concrete block, solid timber floor joists, solid core internal doors, staircases built in situ by a carpenter who would be back on site the following week. The regional builder knew the community because he was part of it. Developer building 80 homes a year in Yorkshire for 25 years could not afford 295 defects per home. He would be out of business. Accountability was physical and immediate. Then two things happened simultaneously and ruined it. Help to Buy was launched in 2013. The government spent nearly £12 billion pumping demand into the new build market, with no corresponding quality requirement attached. The primary beneficiaries were not first-time buyers. They were Persimmon, Barratt, Taylor Wimpey and Bellway. Persimmon alone built 1 in 7 of every Help to Buy home sold in Britain. Their profit per home peaked at £66,000, a 30% margin, higher than any competitor on the scheme. Their former chief executive officer took home £75 million as a bonus. The homes had 295 defects each. The second was consolidation. 6 volume builders now control roughly 40% of all new homes built in Britain. What looks like a market with choice is 6 companies building variations of the same house to the same minimum standards and using identical subcontractors, competing on marketing language rather than build quality. The local builder with a reputation to protect is gone. What replaced him is a machine designed to acquire land, erect structures, sell them before the paint dries, and move to the next site. The phrase minimum viable compliance. Every new home must meet Part L of the building regulations. The volume builders build to the minimum, not because they cannot afford to exceed it. Persimmon's operating margins are industry-leading even in a bad year. They build to the minimum because every pound above it is a pound of profit they have chosen not to take. Here is what that looks like in practice. Cavity walls. The cavity should be fully filled with insulation. In many volume-built homes, it is partially filled or improperly installed, leaving thermal bridges, gaps through which heat escapes far faster than the technical specification suggests. You cannot see this from inside. You feel it in your energy bills. You see it in the black mold appearing in the bedroom corner by January. Roof insulation. Building regulations require at least 270 millimeters of mineral wool, fully laid to the eaves. Snagging inspections routinely find the rear eaves under-insulated or missing entirely. The rear eaves are the hardest spot to access and therefore the hardest for an inspector to verify. The rear eaves are exactly where British driving rain hits hardest. That is not a coincidence. Fire stopping. In a timber frame home, cavity barriers must be installed to prevent fire travelling through wall cavities. Persimmon admitted to a systemic nationwide failure to install them correctly. The independent report they commissioned said it had no group build processes or systems to ensure quality. Missing fire barriers were not the result of a rogue subcontractor. They were a structural consequence of a company focused on land and sales, not construction. Sound insulation. The separating walls between properties in semi-detached and terraced homes must meet specific acoustic performance standards. Builders routinely use the minimum compliant construction method. You find out whether it actually works the first time your neighbour's television becomes part of your evening. In a country where semi-detached homes make up the single largest housing type, acoustic performance is not a luxury specification. It is the basic promise of a wall between two families. The minimum compliant wall delivers the minimum compliant result. And the internal doors. Volume-built new-build doors are hollow core. A hollow core door weighs 10 kilograms. The solid timber door it replaced weighs 40. The hollow core costs the developer £35 to supply and fit. The solid door costs £120. On a 200-unit development, the switch saves the builder £17,000. Knock on yours. That papery hollow sound is the sound of a margin decision made in a boardroom you were never invited to. The builders to avoid right now. Number 1. Persimmon. Let me say something there before I explain why they lead this list. They have made genuine quality improvements over 5 years. The problem is the distance they are travelling from. Their own commissioned independent review found a nationwide problem with missing cavity barriers in timber frame properties, no group build processes to ensure quality, and called on the board to reconsider the company's purpose and ambition. These are not the words of a minor customer service issue. The Dispatch's investigation found 295 defects in one home. 70% were outside building regulation tolerances. Their satisfaction rating at the time was 3 stars out of 5, the lowest in the industry. They are now 4 stars in most categories. 4 stars from a starting point of systemic fire safety failure is evidence of how far there was to go. The closing verdict, built to survive the sales brochure, not the decade. Number 2. Taylor Wimpey. Taylor Wimpey dropped from 5 to 4 stars in recent satisfaction surveys. Trustpilot reviews from 2024 and 2025 buyers tell a consistent story: an excellent handover experience, followed by an aftercare team that misses appointments, ignores emails for weeks, and leaves issues unresolved for years. One buyer reported 3 front door replacements in 2 years, with associated replastering still incomplete. Another discovered their building's central heating plant, which had been running since 2017, was not newly installed as represented. Taylor Wimpey initially claimed they had funded a full replacement, then revised that position. The United Kingdom-specific aggravation is that Taylor Wimpey is heavily active in areas outside major cities where snagging inspectors are scarce, and NHBC resolution timelines are longest. The closing verdict amidst. The sales process is excellent. The aftercare process is not a process. It is a waiting room with no arrival time. Number 3. Bellway. Bellway has retained 5 stars and is genuinely better than most volume builders. But 5 stars in an industry where 93% of buyers report defects is a relative measure, not an absolute one. Independent inspections on Bellway sites consistently find floor levels exceeding NHBC tolerance, paint overspray on fixtures, and boiler pressure faults from uncommissioned systems. The UK-specific aggravation is that Bellway has major exposure to the first-time buyer market, precisely the buyers with the least experience identifying defects before the 2-year liability window closes. The closing verdict: better than most. Better than most is not a standard worth celebrating. Number 4. Barratt Redrow. Barratt held 5 stars for consecutive years and is the most professionally run of the volume builders. They are on this list because of scale. When you are Britain's largest house builder, even a small defect percentage represents thousands of families. Barratt was named in the CMA investigation that settled in July 2025. The case where 7 builders paid £100 million and made no admission of wrongdoing despite evidence the CMA said may have influenced both build-out rates and the prices of new homes. You paid a higher price for a home delivered more slowly than a competitive market would have required. No penalty, just £100 million and a statement. The closing verdict: the most professionally run of the volume builders. That is not the same as a home you would want your family to grow up in without an inspector present. If you bought a new build in Britain, tell me in the comments how many defects your snagging inspection found. My guess is a significant number of you will say more than 50. I also expect a meaningful proportion will say the worst problems only appeared after 6 months, after the first full British winter, after the developer's aftercare team started slowing their responses. That is not a coincidence. That is the business model. Number 1. Regional builders completing fewer than 200 homes per year. No marketing campaign, no show home, no bowl of fresh lemons on the island. But the data is clear. Smaller regional builders working in a defined geography have something the volume builders cannot buy with a quality improvement program: a reputation that exists in physical proximity to the homes they build. A developer building 80 homes a year in the same area for 25 years cannot afford 295 defects per property. Smaller sites mean site managers have time to actually inspect work before it is covered. Cavity barriers get checked. Insulation reaches the eaves. The one genuine weakness is that some specialist mortgage lenders have requirements around NHBC warranty coverage. A regional builder may use a smaller warranty provider. Verify with your solicitor before exchange. The clear recommendation, if you can find one, use one. Number 2. Cala Homes. Avant Homes, and Strata Homes. These are volume builders that consistently receive positive reviews from buyers who have also owned Persimmon or Taylor Wimpole homes. The reason is site management culture. They operate at lower volume than the top four, which gives site managers more time per property. Cala builds at the premium end and their margin depends on finish and reputation, not purely on land cost. Avant and Strata receive consistent positive feedback on finishing quality and aftercare response in the north of England. The one genuine weakness is fewer locations and a higher price per square foot than the volume builders. The clear recommendation is this: if you're buying on one of their developments, your risk profile is meaningfully lower, not zero. Get a snagging survey regardless. Best number 3, pre-2000 resale properties. It is not what you came for, but a solid brick home built between 1960 and 1990, properly maintained, has structural longevity no volume-built new build currently being erected in Britain can match. You can commission a full RIC survey before you buy. You know exactly what you are purchasing. You are not trusting a brochure. You will need to upgrade insulation and replace the boiler. Budget for it. But you will not spend money on cavity barriers that were never installed, or on damp problems that the developer argues are your responsibility. The one genuine weakness is that older homes need more ongoing maintenance. The clear recommendation for anyone not constrained to a new build by scheme eligibility is theirs. A sound pre-2000 property is a more reliable long-term asset than a volume-built home sold at a 20% premium. 3 rules every new build buyer needs. Rule 1. Book your independent snagging inspection before you complete, not after. Most buyers schedule their survey after picking up the keys. By that point you have legally completed, and any defects enter the developer's 2-year aftercare queue, a queue with no binding timeline. If you commission an RPSA accredited inspector before legal completion, defects are documented as pre-handover conditions. The developer must remedy them or they go on formal record. A pre-completion inspection costs £300 to £500. Based on real case data from 2024 and 2025 developments, the average saving in remedial costs is over £4,000. Check the RPSA register and book before you exchange. Rule 2. Read the NHBC warranty exclusions carefully before you exchange, not on the day you need to make a claim. The build mark warranty is not what the brochure implies. The 2-year builder liability section requires the developer to fix defects, on their definition of a defect, not yours. Cosmetic issues, condensation attributed to lifestyle and general wear and tear are excluded. The structural insurance from year 3 to year 10 covers major structural failures, not the damp from a thermal bridge in your cavity wall, unless you can prove it meets their damage threshold. That burden of proof is yours. Ask your solicitor to walk through the exclusion list line by line before you sign anything. Rule 3. Ask the developer directly whether they were party to the Competition and Markets Authority information sharing investigation. In July 2025, 7 of Britain's largest builders, Persimmon, Barratt, Taylor Wimpole, Bellway, Berkeley, Bloor and Redrow, settled a CMA investigation into alleged anti-competitive conduct. They paid £100 million. There was no admission of wrongdoing. The concern was that information sharing may have artificially kept new home prices high and slowed build-out rates. If you are buying from any of these companies, you are entitled to that information. Use it in your negotiation. Option 1. You buy a new build for £350,000. No pre-completion snagging survey. You find 43 defects while living there. The developer remedies 26 over 18 months. 17 remain when the 2-year window closes. Legal advice to pursue them costs £6,000. You absorb that cost. Thermal bridging causes persistent damp in 2 bedrooms. Remedial insulation costs £3,500. 6 hollow core internal doors are replaced over 5 years at £180 each, a total of £1,080. Total additional cost over 10 years is over £11,000 before accounting for elevated heating bills. Option 2. You commission an RPSA snagging inspection before completion, £450. They find 186 defects, including 9 critical ones. The developer remedies all critical defects before you complete. insulation is correctly installed under inspection, your heating bills are £700 to £1,000 lower per year than a comparable uninspected home. Total savings over 10 years on energy alone up to £10,000. The £450 survey is not a luxury. It is the most efficient financial decision you can make on the day you buy a new home in Britain. 93% of new build buyers in Britain report defects after moving in. 1 in 10 homes has serious compliance breaches. NHBC paid £119 million in a single year to fix defective homes. 7 of the largest builders in the country were under formal competition investigation as recently as August 2025. The average new build carries a 15 to 20% price premium over a comparable resale home. You're paying more for a product that is less proven, built to the minimum standard the law allows, by a company whose primary function, according to its own internal reviews, is acquiring land and selling completed units, not building homes. That is not bad luck, that is the business model. The developer's solicitor will be the most prepared person in the room on the day you exchange. Their contract has been drafted to protect the developer at every stage of the process. The 2-year aftercare window is not a generous commitment. It is the legally required minimum, managed by a team whose job is to close cases, not fix homes. The NHBC warranty is not a guarantee of quality. It is insurance against structural collapse. These are different things, and the industry is counting on you not knowing the difference until it is too late to act. The things that actually protect you are information, an independent snagging inspector, and the willingness to read the small print before you sign. Be informed about it. If this video saved you from a costly mistake, subscribe now so you never miss one.